We're going to talk about coming out today. So, my first I just want to address what coming out is initially in case you somehow don't know. Coming out is generally a shortened form of coming out of the closet, which is basically telling people that you are this thing that is normally not accepted. Generally, this is applied to being LGBTQ in some form. It can apply to other things. Sometimes I've heard people have to say, "Well, I had to come out to my parents as a leftist," or "I've had to come out to my parents as an atheist," which is mm, dumb. Having to come out is stupid. People should just be able to accept you, but unfortunately, here we are. That's what that is, and it's a very like sensitive thing for a lot of people. It was very difficult for me. I was having panic attacks over, uh, some portions of it when I was doing so. But before I get into my stories, because 'cause I've had to come out 2 to 3 times, depending on how you wanna look at it. I think the most important thing is, like, your family relations. I need to talk about my family a bit to explain how that whole thing is. So I have 2 parents, like most people. My mom and my dad, they're both incredibly conservative. My mom used to be a missionary, and they both worked for the church that we went to growing up. I have 5 siblings. I have 2 sisters and 3 brothers. All of them are older than me. And, most of my siblings are cool to some degree. I'm definitely the most, like, extreme out of all of them, which also happens probably because I'm the youngest. Eh. So that's my family relationship more or less. I'm not gonna get into super deep on it because I don't wanna, like, I'm not here to air my family's laundry. Well, not entirely. So I'm gonna talk about first time I came out was in 2019, which was the middle of Pride Month, more or less. I had come out to myself, which is not a thing I'm talking about today, which is when I figured out I was trans that earlier that year in February. And it's like, oh, I should probably tell people because I can't expect them to just like, know. But it's like, well, I'm going to a convention. I don't want to come out like right before it. It'll make everything weird. So I didn't. And then in comes several months later, because I came to terms with it in February. The convention was in April, and then Pride Month was in June. And in Pride Month, let's see, according to this, it was the 1st of July, so I put it off until the end. I sent this tweet like, yeah, midnight, 12:02 a.m. is what it says on my tweet. And this is something like I was putting this off so hard. I hadn't even told my partner. And it's like, should probably tell them before before I do this. They're cool. Of course, they're cool. They're a great person. I love them. And so I just basically put out a somewhat short tweet thread. I'll read some of it. So basically, I said that, "Hey, Pride Month is ending. I need to tell you something. I'm trans." And then I said I meant to come out back in February, but things happened. I kept putting it off. My second tweet is talking about my circumstances with my family, which I've over kind of talked about. It was an unsafe situation. I couldn't be visibly trans or transition at all while leaving them, and that was basically it. I also told people, "Hey, if you need what to call me, you can continue using my online name or you can use my real name, which is Alice." And that was that. I got absolutely zero blowback or bad reactions. Literally every comment I got from my online friends, it was supportive, and they mean a lot to me. Like a lot of people are like, "Yeah, I called this like a mile away." I was like, "Huh, okay, okay." So, that was back in 2019, and I had been, like, openly trans online for several years. Then, it's almost a year ago now, but, 2021, I moved down here to live with my partner, and, like, well, I should probably tell my parents. I should probably tell the people I knew in the meat space, even though I don't really talk to them. I kept putting it off, and putting it off, and putting it off. It's like, well, I wanna get my diploma first, or I wanna get a job first, or whatever. Those just like, I wanna do this thing first, I wanna do this thing first. And putting stuff off means that people will find out. So, it was like a month or so ago now. It was the end of May. I remember I was in a call with several of my friends. We were watching, I think it was John Wick 3, I think is what we were watching, and I get a call from my mom. I don't answer because I'm watching a movie. I was like, "Whatever, I'll just call her back tomorrow." And I was like, "Hey," I texted her because I genuinely just text if, I have to hang up on the call from someone that I actually know. You're calling me and I don't have your phone number, I'm not answering my phone. I texted her back, I was like, "Hey, I'll call you tomorrow," and she's like, "Okay." Then a few minutes later, I get a call from my brother, who is the youngest of my brothers, still older than me. I also declined that because 'cause I'm watching movies. I wanna hang out with my friends, that's what matters to me. And I get, like, a few weird texts from him. My brother's kinda weird in general, so I just assumed, like, "Oh, it's probably this life stuff that I won't talk about because I don't wanna air my brother's laundry." But I was like, "Whatever, I was like, "Well, I'll call you back too." So, is the next day or the day after, I try calling my mom. She does not answer the phone. I was like, "Oh, wait, it's Wednesday. She has her jail ministry thing on Wednesday. Maybe she's not at home." Whatever, so I text her about it, no response. I tried to call my brother. His phone is disconnected, or it's either disconnected or he didn't pay his bill. So it's like, things are being weird. Like what? He also forgets stuff and also is not good with his money. So maybe he just forgot. I text my mom about that. I never get a reply to either of those. Either later that day or the day after, I get a text from my mom that says, "Do you have an email I can send something to?" It's like, and I was like, "Oh, this feels weird. This feels bad." And I give her my old professional email that I used for resumes before I found out. And it's like, "Here, you can send this." I asked her why. I said, in ca- because I asked, I ask her why she wants to email me something, and she says, "It's faster than snail mail." I look at my phone that she's texting me on, and they're like, "Whatever." I give it to her, and I think it was not until, like, midnight of that day or later, I receive the first email in a long list of emails between me and her. Email was titled, "A You All Lowercase," and it was a letter about exactly what you think it is. So it starts, "Dear dead name," twice actually, which means I don't know what happened there, but she managed to put it twice, which, you know, makes me even more upset. She said that we, meeting her and my dad, obviously saw some of my videos on this channel, likely, and said you probably feel that you don't have to tell relieved that you don't have to tell us now. And that sent me into like a minor panic attack. I've never had like a full on panic attack, I don't think, but this is probably the closest I've gotten. And this whole ordeal is not great. I do not recommend getting outed. It really sucks. And so I'm going to just break down this letter. I'm going to summarize what she said to me and then respond to each thing. And I'll also have these on screen in case you want to read them and my responses with, my dead name blocked out because no one needs to see that. And And then she goes on to say, "They love me no matter what, and that you always be our son," which is the most upsetting thing you can say to a trans person. you will always be our ex is the most upsetting thing. You're completely ignoring what they're going through. Don't say that to somebody. Think about what your words mean. They say they are sorry of being ignorant for you of my struggles and confusion, which maybe they're sorry. I don't think they can understand them. Next, they say we would have tried to get you some help. This line terrifies me because knowing them, their help would be a Christian therapist or conversion therapy, both of which are terrifying. Obviously, I don't think I have to explain the first one is a person who can only believe their stuff based on their religion, and conversion therapy is torture under a different name. If it's not something I want to go into in this video because I'm not really well informed on it, but that's something you can do your own research on. Stay safe if you do that, because I'm sure it's disgusting. Uh, the next line they say they are concerned about the drugs I am putting in my body are going to harm me permanently. Uh, it's just that they don't understand the things they are considering harm are the things I want. I'm an adult. I'm 25 years old. If you didn't know this, I can make this decision myself. They have no say in it. And also, they go on to say they cause a 90% increase in blood clots, strokes, heart attacks, and not to mention depression. Uh, while the first part is true, that's just a consequence of hormones. Your testosterone does something, probably something just as bad in different places, and they also claim they cause depression. I was depressed before I started taking these. It's honestly it's made it better. I've never taken antidepressants or seen a therapist for anything. I'm sure I've got minor depression to some degree. These have helped. Being away from my parents has helped. Being with my partner has helped. Being accepted by people has helped. And they understand why I was so adamant that people don't come to see me. This is something I had said before. They had texted me like I was being a little coy about giving them my address, which I didn't want them to have. But there's no good way to tell your parents I don't want to have my address. I don't want you to give my address out to people. I don't know if they followed that or not. Then they go say, "We would like to understand your choices. Why would you explain how you think this is going to help you?" And a bunch of other stuff like trying to get me to change my mind. Whatever. I give them a reply, and what I do, especially like if I'm not sure, I'm very bad at putting words together into paragraphs. So I just put a bunch of bullet points and sent that to them instead because that's just like how my mind works. Like even if you've been on my Patreon and seen the scripts for these videos, they are just bullet points. Everything else is just rambles. So I did replied to their email with my own email, obviously, and said I have a lot to say, so I'm going to do bullet points because it's a lot easier to do that than connecting stuff. So then I basically did replies to all the things which I kind of addressed already. At the end, I signed it with my proper name. Then I also gave them a PS. I appreciate that I tell them that I appreciated them doing it over email rather than over like a vocal conversation because I cannot take in-person confrontations and I cannot argue. I'm not someone who will debate. That's just not something I can do. My brain does not let me do it. And they reply using my dead name again. Thank you for answering their questions. I can agree that it's easier to do by email. And they're trying to understand me because of love, which I don't believe. Then they give me a whole paragraph. Sorry, I don't like swearing, but do it occasionally. Just going through this is not it's not easier the second time rereading through it, but I want to share my experiences, and that's important for other people. And they go through your there's a bunch of God stuff and claims about male stuff and male cells, which they obviously don't understand past like a very basic understanding of biology. The conservatives love the X and Y chromosome argument, which is completely out of date because both assigned male and assigned female people at birth can have chromosomes of the ones they think and claim nothing can change that. It's just that they then go on to claim that I cannot change my bone structure or how strong I am compared to a woman, which is completely wrong. HRT, transfeminine HRT does decrease your muscle mass, and depending on when it started or how long you've been doing it, it can also change some of your bone positions. There's a thing called it's like hip fusion or something. I'm probably remembering the body part, like the scientific name properly, but if started early enough, you can actually HRT can rotate your hips to make them wider, depending on how young you are. But the thing is, we don't know exactly when that bone fuses, and it's different for everybody. So it's a very up in the air thing. And then as me if I had tried just being they tried telling me that feminine men exist and why can't you do that? Which means they obviously didn't watch all of my 50-minute video because I talk about it, albeit briefly in there, saying that I tried being a femboy for like a year. Didn't work. It was just a band-aid. And then and they talked about how people have different like gender presentations, which yes, this is true. Not everyone has to be the same. Then they talk about an example of this man at a church they went to who had a high voice and how he spoke made you think he was gay, but he was not. He was a successful businessman, married, and had 3 kids. Which, if you unpack how the way they're writing that, that implies that gay men can't be successful businessmen, which is that's why are you saying that? I don't think they meant to say that, but there's some inherent bias there, and they go on to say that everyone can fit wherever they want to in the spectrum and that they shouldn't try to be anyone else, which is that's what I'm doing. I'm not pretending to be someone else. I'm being me. Next paragraph. That was like a real doozy of the paragraph. Thankfully, this next one is smaller. They say they don't understand why I'm going to do this if it'll make my life harder. And basically, I say I'd rather be happy in a difficult life than be sad in an easy life. Was more or less my reaction to that. Of course, I will have all these on screen to some format so you can read and look at my replies to each email, see if there's something you need here if you are in a confrontational situation with somebody. Then claiming it's a heart problem, which is another religious thing, which I'm not going to engage with. I don't want to engage with my parents on a religious argument. I'm agnostic. I don't think they've even realized that, but she gives me this like whole paragraph of God stuff, and I just didn't acknowledge it and just said, I don't believe in that. And she then says God allows us to make choices, and I tell her yes. And I've made my choice. And then she asked me if I knew that my grandmother's name was the same name as the name I chose, which I did know, but I did not know when I chose it. That's a subject for another video. I'm meaning to do 2 videos on naming stuff. I'll go in more into that in that video. And then she asked if uh if I told my siblings, which no, I have trust issues. I cannot trust anyone in my family or anyone that I actually lived with. And then I replied to them, which I will also put on screen, which is more or less what I've said. If you want to read what I have said, pause the video. I correct them immediately on not using my name and tell them it's incredibly rude. And if they can't do this one thing, if you can't use my name, if you cannot use my pronouns properly, there's no point in me talking or arguing with you anymore. Because obviously you can't do the very most basic bottom line of respect, which is just say my name. Say my name. Not the one that you gave me. It was a horrible name, by the way. It sucks. like, say the name I chose. Can you do this one basic thing? And that was it for a while. A little bit later, a few days, maybe I'll put a date on screen. I get another email. This is not a reply to the previous one. It's just labeled peace, which is like I'm not gonna dig into the way my mom's titling her emails, but boy, someone's being dramatic is all I'm saying. And she actually apologizes for dead naming me. I do not see her ever use my name or my pronouns in any subsequent communication I've had with her, but an apology is honestly more than I expected to get, especially from my parents. She then says the easiest way to deal with irreconcilable differences, which means they won't accept me still, is to get mad, blame, and hate, and whatever big stuff about, oh, we should just agree to disagree more or less. They apologize for any mistakes they made when raising me, say they want to be good parents, but they're not perfect. Then, whole bunch of God loves you, we love you, whatever. I tell her I do appreciate her apology. Says I don't want to argue. I'm not an argumentative type of person. It's just too much anxiety for me to deal with. And and then I tell her I don't think either of my parents made horrible mistakes when they were raising me. I My parents were not like physically abusive. If I was going to claim they're abusive in any like form, I would probably just say they're mentally abusive because I've had deep-seated trust issues with basically anybody, or at least telling anyone about things I like or things I enjoy. But that could also just be paranoia in my brain. I don't know. And he replies to me, "Thank you for the letter." And that was it. That was my big going back and forth with my parents. It took several like, I think a week or 2 is, like, how long it lasted, and I was not having a good time, straight up having a bad time, actually. I was having, like, I wouldn't say, like, miniature panic attacks because I actually honestly had them, but, like, I was not feeling good. I was feeling borderline sick and incredibly anxious the entire time, and during this process, something interesting happened. I got a message on Facebook. It's technically on Facebook from my second oldest brother. So I have one older brother than him, saying that he supports me, not he would like to actually talk to the real me, whatever that means. Because like this is something I've always maintained about. This is like my personality hasn't changed. I'm still the same person. You're just seeing a different like presentation of me. I'm not lying about who I am anymore. And he tells me he wants to support me and is like, and he says, I want to help pay for your name change, which is, hey, that's a video that's coming soon. And he sends me money to help support me, which is it was so out there. I've never received like monetary support from anybody. It's just not something I felt coming, but like it really meant a lot to actually receive positive reinforcement from someone in my family because I like basically everyone I knew in the area I lived in were incredibly conservative people, except for my my siblings, and they all range because it's like a 30-year time span between like 25 years between me and my oldest brother. That's a lot of I said lots of people are different. So and the thing that's still on my mind is how did my parents find my videos? I mean, if you look at this channel, it's not like it's just gonna show up. I have 70 subscribers and like that video has like maybe 300, almost 400 views. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, which means someone had to find it and show it to them. I have a few suspects. I'm not going to name names just to be polite, but whoever it was definitely had access or knew what my online usernames were because that's the only place I have that linked to. I keep my real life and my online life very separate, or I did anyway. So they would have had to either have access to my Twitter or my Twitch, because those are both connected together and I promote those videos on there. So I have two suspects. It's either a family member or a friend. I'm not going to name names, but I'm leaning towards one of them. So, a little update from me while editing. I actually did find out who outed me. It was the person who I thought it was. Just a little update. I might pop up other times during the video because things have happened while I'm editing this. So back to the video. And then last time I came out in real life or to people back home. So what I did is I just put I just put a coming out post on my Facebook page, a thing I don't really use. I will get this open so I can summarize it and I'll also put it on screen so you can see if this is something you are considering doing. So basically it goes happy Pride Month, because I did post this at the beginning of Pride Month because this whole incident happened like a week before it started. Like, man, you couldn't wait 1 week for me to just say, hey, it's Pride Month. Guess what? I've got a lot of surprises for you. I say I'm trans, I'm bi, I'm demi-romantic, and my name is Alice. I did not explain that I'm sapphic because most everyone on there is like super not like the alignment super straight, but incredibly straight and white. They don't know what sapphic means, and I'm not going to spend time explaining to them. And I say I've been out to my primary figure group since 2018, 2019, meaning because I'd been dating my partner since 2018, so I guess you could view that as coming up. I never came out and just like said I'm bisexual at the time, because like I mean, here's me who is still publicly facing as a guy, even though I was having big brain problems, and I was presenting as a femboy at that time, and that is like this is not selling development. This has been going on for years. It's something I want to get across it is that this is I haven't changed your perception of me as. I've said this a lot in regards to like coming out and stuff on here in some of my older videos. I've said that as well. Like I still like things I like are still the same. I still like metal. I still like hardcore punk. I still like video games, and I still love tabletop RPGs. My interests haven't changed. I'm still the same. I say my gender and my sexuality are mine. I will not debate you on this. I will not change my mind. If you repeatedly dead name or misgender me, I will unfriend you. I will block you. If you don't want to support me, then you have every right to unfriend me. I don't want to burn bridges, but I will do it if I need to. And then I posted a picture of myself. And I'm surprised at the response I got, or more of a lack of response. I did kind of word it aggressively on purpose. But let's see. Profile, please. Posted too early. I have gotten almost no responses. I got received 4 likes. One was from the youngest of my brothers, then from my brother who helped me and his wife, and one of my old podcast friends. I used to do an anime podcast. It wasn't very good. Don't bother. And I also received a comment from my oldest sister telling me I am very pretty, which is that always makes me really happy because I never feel good about myself. And the last response was I received a text from one of my best friends when I was in like high school. And we talked a little bit about his like he was having trouble coming to terms with it, but he's like, I want you to know that I support you. We've kind of drifted apart because that's just how friendships work. And it's like I'm honestly I expected my coming out be a lot more schismy. I out of curiosity, I took note of my friend count on Facebook before and after I posted it, and it only went by one person who wasn't really my friend anyway. So that means like it went surprisingly well, and now I am out everywhere. So you know what? I pulled off the band-aid. Finally, it's done. And there is one last thing I want to go over because I'm sure people are going to ask me if they should come out, and there's so many things in that question that it's like there's so many factors. So I'm just going to go over a few factors that you should think about before doing it, because once the cat's out of the bag, it's not going back in. So the first thing you need to think about is your family because they're the most immediate people around you. Think about them. Are they supportive? Do you know that if they're homophobic or supportive? Do you know who they vote for? Because like, do you hear how they talk? Just like you can look at a lot of these things and probably get a good idea if they are safe for you. If they're not safe, I would not recommend coming out because that is just putting yourself in a even more stressful situation. Then the next thing you want to look at is your friend group. That's the next thing around you is like your friends. How are your friends cool? They aren't. You might want to start, kind of taking them out of your life if they're not very supportive. And then the next thing is your support network. If you do live in an unsafe situation, do you have people who will support you, such as, for example, friends? I had my online friends, they were my biggest support network, and I'm so grateful for them because I had people who actually cared about me, would tell me that they loved me, and that would actually use my name, unlike other people. And then if you are going to come out to someone, even if you are going to do this, have a backup plan. If it goes bad, especially this is mainly for your housing, if you are not 100% sure that your parents, your land people, or whatever are going to be safe for you, have a backup plan. Have another place you can stay for at least a little while. For example, like maybe a friend's, basically just a friend's, maybe a partner that you can live with, anything. Just have a backup plan just in case things go bad. And that's it. That is my 3 coming out stories. I can't believe I've had to do this 3 times, or 2 times and get traumatized one other time. Depends on how you wanna look about it. Thanks for watching, I will see you next month, hopefully, I'm trying to do monthly videos. If you enjoyed the video, hit it drop a like or subscribe. If you really wanna get into stuff, you could go to my Patreon or my Twitter or the Discord. Thanks for watching, I hope to see you again next week month, not week, I can't make this weekly. Bye.